Hi, thank you for joining me. Have you ever had a rough day? I mean, who hasn't, right? It could be a day that starts out with you running late and it just goes from bad to worse from there. Or you could be having communication snafus all day long. But it's a day that you cannot wait to end. Well, many years ago, when I was in my early 20s, I had a tough day at work, one that seemed to last forever. And I'd like to share the mind shift tactic that got me through it. Now, I'm Linda Ann Stewart. I'm a focus coach and a hypnotherapist. I motivate people to transform their business through taking deliberate actions that break through distractions and overwhelm to greater success, freedom, and well being. And much of that depends on mindset, which is what I had to depend on that rough day that I had. I had just started working at a picture framing shop that was part of a chain. Customers would come in and pick out their mats and their frames that would suit their artwork. But instead of them leaving the artwork with us to do the work, we cut everything right then and there and showed them how to put it together. That was a challenge in itself. But this nightmare began one Saturday morning. It was pouring. And for some reason, we had more customers coming in that morning than we'd had in the previous 2 weeks combined. The front part of the store was absolutely packed. This was where we helped customers choose their materials. It was simply packed with people. And the work overwhelmed the two of us that were working, so we called in a couple of reinforcements. One of them was the former manager of that particular shop. Now, she put me to cutting mats, which wasn't a great idea, as I was still getting used to the equipment. When my mats didn't pass her high expectations, she reamed me out very loudly, screaming at me in front of the entire storm. It wasn't just a mild rebuke or a reprimand. It was a full on screaming, raging at me. It felt like it went on forever, but it was probably just a couple of minutes. Now, you know the cartoon where one person is yelling and the other person looks like they are standing in a hurricane. They're being blown back on their heels and their hair is flying out behind them. That's how I felt. Instead of walking out or dissolving into tears, I kept telling myself, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. She then gave me the job of helping customers choose their mats and frames. Well, I got a lot of sympathetic looks from the customers, but it made me feel more humiliated. I kept telling myself, this day will end. I will eventually be at home, eating dinner, watching TV. This too shall pass. That phrase became a mantra for me to keep me going as people kept just pouring in and filling the store. Well, of course, as it happens, finally, the day did end. And once the manager had left for the day, my original coworker commiserated with me, telling me that the manager had often raged like that. Fortunately, that was the only time I ever encountered that manager. A couple of months after this episode, the shop was sold and my services were no longer required, which was fine with me because it had been a difficult job with long hours and low pay. And the incident hadn't improved it at all. So when you're having a rough day, remember that it's only temporary. It will pass. Things will get better. Find some concept an affirmation, a statement, a mantra, something that supports you and helps you maintain some sort of equilibrium as you slog through the mess. You can visualize it being over, as I did. I even celebrated when another hour would pass. One more down, only X number to go. You can even break it down into getting through it 1 minute at a time. Eventually, the day will simply be a memory and it will lose its importance. I do still remember that day, but and this is many decades later, but I mainly remember it, mainly because of how I got through it. For more tips and articles on mindset, motivation, and empowerment, visit my blog, empoweringyourmind.com. Thank you for watching. Stay focused.